Hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing my comic load for the week. Now before we get into this, if you want to follow me on Instagram or Twitter, the links are down below, and I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit more Instagram right now than I am Twitter, but I'm going to try to get back and do more Twitter. But if you guys want to follow me, the links are down below, as well as if you want to support my channel on Patreon, the link is down below. Thank you very much for all that have been supporting me on Patreon. Last time I gave a shout out to Paul on my Batman Iron Gotham review, so everything that you guys contribute or help out with on Patreon goes right to the channel, bringing either more content, better camera, better software, anything. It's just to make this channel better because I want to make it better. So with that said, let's get right into it, and we're going to start where we always start, with just a little bit of Batman in our life, with Batman issue 21, The Button, Part 1. This is kind of the big draw of the week for me, because this is getting into a lot of the rebirth stuff, particularly the mystery surrounding the Watchmen button. And this is a crossover event that's going to take about a month to do. You got Batman issue 21 and 22, and I think Flash issue 21 and 22. Could be wrong with the numbers, but it's 2 Flash issues, 2 Batman issues. And this issue, we get Jason Fadbach come back as a Batman artist, and oh my god, I'm so happy to have him back. Definitely one of the better Batman artists of the past 10 years. His level of detail is just so extreme and so good. I can't say enough good stuff about him. And then in this issue, we basically see Batman versus Ebod Thawne, also known as the Reverse Flash. And this is more of a classic Reverse Flash than it is the New 52 Reverse Flash. I mean, literally his costume is the opposite of Flash's in the old-fashioned kind of way, not the very CW'd way that the Brett Booth take on it was. Not to say that was a bad take, but it's good to have classic Ebon Thawne back. And they're both the same person. I think it's just continuity changed him a bit back to what he was. But that's questions and theorizing for another day. We're not going to do that right now. This issue on whole was really fun and really enjoyable. Didn't get as many answers as much as we got more questions, and the layout in this is very reminiscent of that of Watchmen. It's almost like they're just teasing and tantalizing us with that information. So this is a solid story, and I'm really looking forward to the Flash and Batman working together, because they're 2 of my favorite characters. Batman's my favorite character, and Barry Allen's in my top 10. Actually, he might be not quite in top 5. Maybe. I don't know. I have to do the list over. But seeing these 2 work together is just so natural because they're both detectives in some way. Batman, the world's greatest detective, and Barry Allen, the Flash, is a forensic scientist. So it's really cool seeing these 2 working together, and it just fits so well. So 5 out of 5. All-Star Batman, The End of the Earth, issue number 9. So this is kind of starting up a new story, and it deals with a Batman villain, who I'm not going to reveal who it is, going around and causing trouble, and Batman has to take him down. Not as Batman, but as Bruce Wayne. As well as we got the Duke Lark backup story in here. And Jock comes on as the artist, so I'm very happy to see him jump on there. He's always been a really good Batman artist, and just a good artist in general. He takes a very gritty approach when it comes down to things. In saying that, surprisingly, I didn't care for this issue that much. It wasn't bad. There was good writing, but the story didn't really capture me, and I didn't really care. Which is funny, because the Batman villain that's used here is one of my all-time favorites, but I don't know, I wasn't feeling it. So, 3 out of 5. Moving on to Nightwing, issue number 19, Nightwing Must Die. So, for those of you that didn't know, Dr. Hurt is back. Dr. Hurt, one of the best things to come out of Grant Morrison's run on Batman, which was an epic run, to say the least. Probably, if not one of the most controversial runs on Batman, because it was just so layered and deep and pulled from all the different Batman mythos. Dr. Hurt was the embodiment of the devil himself. Even though we kind of got an origin for him, I like the fact that his origin is still a little bit shrouded in mystery, and that he does represent that aspect of the devil himself. To see him back into the New 52/Rebirth continuity is a big breath of relief for me, because Well, the Grant Morrison run on Batman is kind of shaky on exactly what happened, what didn't. At least when we went into New 52. We get now established that everything did still happen, except for maybe Batman getting sent back in time, but even then, we don't know. But again, we're not talking about continuity right now, we're talking about Dr. Hurt. Dr. Hurt has abducted Robin, and it's up to Nightwing and his girlfriend, the Defacer, to go in there and save Robin, while also going up against Deathwing, the evil Professor Pig conglomeration of a Dark Nightwing. This is a solid issue through and through. The only thing I could say is I would have liked a little bit more interaction between Dr. Hurt and Nightwing, because Dr. Hurt was more of a Bruce villain than he was a Dick villain. I don't think it was ever a Dick villain, to say the least, but I would have liked to see more of an interaction between them. But everything else is on point. I'm really liking Nightwing's girlfriend in this. She's a fun character, and I'm cool with them being together, if that makes sense. So Nightwing, issue number 19, pick it up. It's a 4 out of 5. Batwoman, issue number 2. So this is, again, Batwoman chasing down the Venom/Monster Men conglomeration liquid that you don't want to drink because it's going to turn you into a freak of nature. And it dips into a little bit more of Batwoman's past and her life before she became Batwoman, and part of the building blocks of what makes her who she is. I'm not as enthralled in the story as much as I am in the how can I say, the main story I'm not as enthralled in as I am in the bigger scheme of things, because this is clearly building up to a grander scale story, and I like that kind of writing that's coming out of here. I don't know how much of this is Tinian, and I don't know how much of this is Bennett, but I'm enjoying Batwoman thus far. I am, however, going to give this a 3 out of 5, just because it didn't enthrall me as much as the first issue. But it's still fun, and I still think Batwoman is one of the best characters to come out in the past 11 years or so I definitely recommend picking it up. Harley Quinn, issue number 18. So this is continuing the 2 stories that we've been getting out of Harley Quinn. First is the Red Meat story, which is basically homeless people being abducted and fed to cannibals. That's about it. And then the second story, that is more of a Batman the Animated Series spin-off that shows Harley and Joker robbing stuff. The best part about this, because it is split up into 2 issues, I have to say, see my boy Red Tool in there. Red Tool, who is clearly a playoff of Deadpool, who is clearly a playoff of Deathstroke. But I like Red Tool. He's a great parody of a great Marvel character, and I think they handle him pretty well in Harley Quinn's comic. Not so much Harley in this. Like, Harley's knocked out most of the time. It's a solid issue through and through. I think, again, this is something that Harley fans are going to enjoy more than anyone else. But I recommend picking it up, maybe the previous issue if you're jumping on to the comic, because Harley's always fun. It's just not something to take too seriously. Moving on, Angel, issue number 4. Now this is wrapping up the Illyria Back in Time story arc. Without revealing too much that happens, we see some changes with Illyria and Fred, as well as we see more misadventures for Angel and Fred. Again, I don't want to spoil anything, but let's just say they're not going home quite yet. I'm surprised on the fact that I'm enjoying this as much as I am, because I feel as though, I don't know, Angel and Faith and whatever comic is going on with Angel has always been kind of good, but recently it has been just okay, and I feel like not as much effort has been put into it. It feels more like Elseworld kind of stuff than a canonical take on Angel. But it's still pretty fun. So I'm going to give this also a 3 out of 5. Not the best Angel stuff out there, but it's still good and good. Buffy I am behind on, so I have the issue over there. I forgot to put it in the pile, but or I took it out purposely because I separate my comics. I separate it on must-reads, second-tier must-reads, stuff I'll read towards the end, and things I'm behind on. And I took it out. So, but I do need to catch up on Buffy big time because Rebecca Isaac is doing the art. And I love her art, whether it's on Angel or Buffy. She does good stuff. Moving on to Deathstroke, issue number 17. what can I say? Like, Deathstroke has been a solid series through and through, and shit starts to get real in this. Whether it's with Jericho, whether it's with Rose, whether it's with Deathstroke, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in this that is really, really cool. And it's just building up more to the Lazarus contract, which is a big Deathstroke crossover with the Teen Titans. Let's see if I think every DC issue has had a preview for it, but here it is. It spans Titans, Teen Titans Annual, and Deathstroke's comic, and is basically, you know, what is it? Sins revealed, rivalries renewed, hatred reborn, the Titus' greatest enemy returns. Which is kind of interesting because if you think about it, Deathstroke has not really gone up against the Titans at all since New 52 started. So it's kind of up in the air on how much of an involvement he's had with the Teen Titans. So I'm interested with that crossover, but this has been a solid book through and through. 5 out of 5. Moving on to Superman, issue number 21, The Black Dawn. Again, this issue is just okay. We got a fun stuff between Superboy and Robin and Superman. Not so much in Batman in this. And yeah, I think out of the Superman titles came out this week, this is actually the one that I probably cared the least about. So I'm going to give this a 2.5 out of 5. I want to see more stuff dealing with the history and continuity of Superman before I start getting into those fun little stories. It's not a bad story, but it's not a great story. It's just an okay story. Super Sons, issue number 3. Now, this has been fun through and through. It's Kid Amazo versus the Super Sons. Let's just call them that. And they take on robotic forms of both Batman and Superman. The bickering between the two of them is really fun, and I just love them as characters. The Damian and John just mesh so well together. This is turning out to be one of the best new comics that have come out of Rebirth. It's a late entry into Rebirth, but a good one nonetheless. And it's only 3 issues in, so I recommend picking up the other 2 issues. If you want something fun, new, and fresh, and has a great lightheartedness to it, Super Sons is a really good place to go. And you don't need too much continuity to get into it. The son of Batman and the son of Superman working together and causing trouble. Superwoman, issue number 9. Now, Muir really was curious to see how this was going to handle the Superman Reborn aftermath, and it really didn't handle it at all. But I've always kind of liked Superwoman as a concept. I thought the first story dragged on too much, but the recent stuff has been okay, and I feel as though this has a good foot going forward. This was an okay issue. I'm going to leave it at that. I felt as though there was very great moments between Lana and between Clark, and I do enjoy the fact that we have Atomic Skull joining the police department, which is pretty fun. I'll give it a 3.5 out of 5. It was a solid read, and I enjoy seeing where Superwoman's going from here, because now she doesn't have the weight of the death of New 52 and New 52 Superman and Lois anymore. She can kind of be her own character. Next, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, issue 14. Again, we're dealing with this future stuff with the Green Ranger, and it's still fun, but again, one of the things about the Power Rangers I like so much is the fact that they're a team. No, I mean, Tom even said it at his best when Jason came back. He said, listen, the Rangers are a team. No one person is more important than the others. And I think that's a misconception that people like to say. They say, oh, well, Jason's the main character, or Tommy's the main character, or it's just Andrews because he was the one in Countdown to Destruction. Whatever you want to make it out to be. And listen, I'm the biggest Jason fanboy in the world. I can show you my collection of Jason figures. There's a whole shelf dedicated to it. But the fact of the matter remains is I'd like there to be a little bit more balance in this comic. Putting all that aside, I feel as though shit's about to get real, and it's going to get real with Billy, and I'm glad it is. Billy's a very underutilized character, although he's probably the longest tenured character of the original 5 Mighty Morphins. After Mighty Morphin ended in Zeo, he kind of really didn't do much except for kind of background help, and in this comic, I would like to see a little bit more badassery out of Billy, because he's one of my favorite characters. It gets a 4 out of 5. Power Rangers is still a great series, and still something you should pick up. Okay, Captain America issue number 16, and Secret Empire issue number 0. So, this is what everything's been building up to with Captain America. As you guys know, Captain America is tied for my favorite Marvel character, for the most part. Him and Wolverine. Classic Wolverine. Not Old Man Logan, not X-23. I'm talking about, like, the best there is at what he does, and what he does isn't pretty. Wolverine. Good old-fashioned Logan. I love them both, but Captain America has been kind of kind of interesting lately with the whole entire being evil kind of thing in his comic is really kind of taking a twist on Captain America. And I think it's been going on quite a long time. You could say it's a slow burn, but maybe it's too slow of a burn because it's issue 16. We're still dealing with him being evil. I thought this was going to be resolved by issue 8, but hey, shit happens. I'm not going to talk too much about issue number 16. It's not something that you need to pick up. However, if you want to continue the story, issue 0, Secret Empire itself, is something you should pick up. And boy, oh boy, is this a great issue. Captain America systematically disables Earth's defenses and anything that would really stand in his way. Whether it would be the Avengers or the Defenders, or if it was the Guardians of the Galaxy along with Captain Marvel, it doesn't matter. He finds a way of basically defeating everyone with one foul swoop. Fun stuff in this issue, and it's a good read. If you've been reading Captain America for the past 15 plus issues, then this is something that definitely should pick up. And I'll give it a 5 out of 5. This was one of the best reads for the week. I'm interested to see where it goes. Next, we're moving on to Green Lanterns, issue number 21. So this is the resolve to the Dr. Polaris arc, and well, this arc has been very up in the air for me because it's very much been kind of really good stuff with Dr. Polaris and really okay stuff with the Lanterns themselves. They were kind of secondary characters in the story about a villain. And it kind of ends off that way. Dr. Polaris has some really good light shown on here, but the Lanterns themselves doesn't really get anything good until the end. Although it does end off with the Lanterns going back to Oa and meeting up with John Stewart and basically, well, how could I say, actually being part of the Green Lantern Corps. This will get a 3.5 out of 5 out of me. I recommend this story arc because it's fun. I think Dr. Polaris was an interesting character, and he has a certain menace and tone to him, and levels and depth that really got shined out in this issue. It's just not really good for Simon or Jessica. They're just kind of whatever in this. Moving on, Green Arrow, issue number 21. This is The Rise of Star City, Part 1. And despite the fact that this is a start to a new story arc, I like to think of this as kind of resetting the table for Green Arrow. Because it talks a lot about his father and a lot about the people he knows, and it also talks about basically the enemies and the bad guys he's been going up against, and how they're part of this secret organization which is going to topple down Star City. Cheshire shows up, which is nice, as well as some other people too. So you do get to see a few villains of Green Arrow come in and get kind of a rebirth makeover. Danny Brickwell is in this also, so he kind of gets a nice showing. On the whole, this issue is fun. It's not too eventful, I want to say. It's more, like I said, resetting the table for Green Arrow, but I still recommend getting it. This is a 4 out of 5. Aquaman H2.0. This is still dealing with Deadwater, who I think is one of the more interesting aspects to come out of Aquaman in most recent years. And while I am enjoying this issue, I felt as though this should have been the conclusion to the issue. The story arc is going on a little longer than I really wanted it to, so it would have been nice to have some conclusion in here, because it's just more of the same. And I think that's the only thing. It's good stuff, but still more of the same. This gets a 2.5 out of 5, which hurts me because I've been loving Aquaman since its rebirth. And then we have The Truth About Superman, issue number 8 for Trinity. Now, this issue started off with New 52 Superman versus Rebirth Superman, and my dick got instantly hard, thinking, oh, finally, we're going to get some history on these characters, and we don't. We really don't. This issue, boy, it's enjoyable to read if you're a fan of the Trinity, but if you're not, it's a 2 out of 5, because nothing happened in this issue. It doesn't resolve anything for Superman. It doesn't resolve anything for the Trinity. It's just them going, hey, Superman, figure out who you are. And I'm sorry, my cat right here, Splitsy, or I like to call her Deathstroke the cat, or Catstroke the Purinator. She's causing a little trouble down here, so if you see some shaking, that's because it's her. And last, but certainly not least, issue number 19 of Justice League. This is the end of the Timeless Story arc. And boy, was it time for the Timeless Story arc to end. This was okay, but I just something about Brian Hitch's writing in this previous story arc has just been so lackluster. They go up against Molly, the superpowered individual that's trying to screw with time, as well as the Timeless themselves, and yeah, I'm ready for Justice League to move on to something else. Maybe that's just me. Again, this is and I hate saying this because I like Hitch's run with JLA when they went up against Rao. Maybe it was the lineup, maybe it was how the art was done. I don't know, but this Justice League run is not as good, and it's a little disappointing. So this gets a 2 out of 5. My pick of the week, if I had to give one, is definitely Batman 21, The Button, which is right up top. Really fun stuff. I would say Secret Empire and Green Arrow comes a bit afterwards with Deathstroke. But yeah, some really good week of comics. Really good week. So I'm going to end the video here, but I also am thinking about doing a question and answer segment. It's been a while since I've done one. So if you guys want to propose your questions down below in the comments, please do. And I will do a update / question and answer segment. It's been quite a few months since I've done one. So Miss Cash, she's just relentless. She's just all over the place. But if you guys want to do one, post the questions down below, and I'd be more than happy to do another question answer segment. I almost said egg mess segment. That wouldn't make sense. But yeah, with that said, this is Andrew saying peace out for now.